Are you strictly relying on one income stream to pay the bills? What would happen if that shut off? How would you survive? With the average U.S. physician earning $208,000 a year, this alone may not be enough to secure your financial future. Investing in cash flowing assets to replace your money now before something happens really helps lower your financial risk. And today in this video, we're going to go over the reasons why doctors and other high income earners should consider real estate investing and the various strategies available for both active and passive investors. And look, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a periodontist in Louisiana that's on a mission to get you out of the rat race. Do me a favor and download the passive income guide that I've put together just for you below this video with the link. All right, so first, let's discuss the issue of trading time for money. Now, when you work for, let's say, a hospital or a clinic, you're used to receiving a paycheck at regular intervals, if it's weekly or every other week. So you receive this paycheck, regular intervals, which creates a clear relationship between work and compensation. All right. You've got to treat a certain amount of patients or work a certain amount of hours, work a certain number of shifts in order to get paid. That's your typical trading your time for money. If you're not there, you're not getting paid. However, with investments such as real estate, you can start to develop multiple streams of income, allowing you, like we've been doing for the past several years, allowing you to pay for your personal expenses and break free from this time for money problem. Yes, it's a problem. Now, I recently brought my teenage son with me to speak at a local medical school here. When I went there, my goal was to encourage them to start learning how money and taxes work while they were in school. You know, they're always on their phone. You know, they have the internet, they have YouTube, TikTok. It's very easy now. Okay. So I wanted to encourage them to start learning about how this works now instead of when they got out and started practicing like most of us do. A lot of times it's too late. When I was in dental school, I never thought about trading time, treating patients for money. I never even registered to me because this was the only thing that I knew about. So I figured, well, I'm in it for the long haul, 30, 40 years. That's just the way it is. That's how everybody else does it. Little did I know that if you really want to build wealth, just simply do what the other wealthy people do. You invest in real estate and you shoot for having at least an average of 7 streams of income. Why try to reinvent the wheel, right? So the main reasons to invest in assets that cash flow are for passive income, which can replace your personal expenses, and the tax advantages that come along with either buying businesses or real estate. The government encourages us. They encourage us to start new businesses and invest in real estate. And if you look through the tax code, 85 to 90% of it, that's who it's for. It's for business owners and real estate investors. And guess what? Guess where the majority of the tax breaks go? Business owners and real estate investors. So they're telling us, hey, look, I want you to do this. I want you to start this business, start this practice, invest in this property, invest in an opportunity zone, whatever. They don't want to be landlords. So that's why they encourage us to do it. And because of that, we get the tax benefits. All right. So now that we understand the benefits of real estate investing, let's talk about basically how to invest. And there's 2 main approaches. One is active, another one is passive. All right. So if you're a busy professional, passive investing typically is a more appealing option as it allows you to focus on your, if you're a doctor, it allows you to focus on your practice without getting bogged down in the day-to-day responsibilities of managing properties. So think about where you are right now. So think about how long you've had to train and how much money you've invested to get where you are today. This could be 8, 10 years. You could have several hundreds of thousands of dollars student loan debt. So you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get you where you are today. And now you've got this really big, nice income. So you're active, your earned income. Okay, this is your biggest source of income because you've put in the most hours to get there, right? Once you start taking time away from this, like trying to figure out, well, what property should I buy? Is this a good property? Or even worse, you start doing it. Now you got to start getting phone calls from tenants. I talked to somebody with a mobile home park the other day and he had several of them. And he said, the worst part is dealing with tenants. He said a lady actually texted him a picture of a fly that was on her kitchen counter at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and wanted to know what he was going to do about this. Okay. So when you have to start dealing with people, then that's going to take time away, then what's going to happen to your active income is going to suffer. So active investing, it basically means that you're hands-on with property acquisition, property management, dealing with the day-to-day operation. Now, there are pros and cons to this approach. Now, on the upside, you've got complete control over your investment, over your property. And many times the tax advantages from this, they go directly to you. However, think about this, just like think about your career, how long it took you to get there, how much education. So it requires a very deep understanding of property management, market trends, landlord-tenant laws, and it can be challenging to scale. So think about how many single-family homes you would have to get in order to really make some money. It takes a lot. And again, by doing this is going to take time away from your job or even worse, your family. I actually had a call with the dentist earlier today. He actually practices in upstate New York. His wife is also a dentist, and they were kind of debating on whether to invest actively or passively. Now, this is the first question you must ask yourself before even getting started. And you know what? The more that we talked, the more he realized that it would be better to passively invest, as they had two young kids, and they had both of them had a large amount of student loan debt. So if they started to actively invest, then the main thing for them was it would take time, of course, away from his kids, but then they couldn't continue to aggressively pay down their student loans because that was going to start taking time away from their practice. So after we had that conversation, he came to realize that it would be better off starting passive investing. Now, that doesn't mean to say that just because you start off passive, you can't go to active, because this is kind of the approach that I'm taking now. I've learned a lot along the way. I've met a lot of people. I've networked with a lot of people. I've learned the lingo. I didn't know what a cap rate was or anything like that, or a private placement memorandum in dental school. So I learned all that by investing in real estate syndications, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But getting used to the lingo, getting used to how things work, then you can transition over. This is actually what I'm doing a little bit, but I'm transitioning over with people. I'm partnering with people that know what they're doing. So that may be an approach that you could take. So with passive investing, you're hands off. So this involves putting money into things, real estate assets, businesses, etc., without having to take care of the day-to-day management. Now, this approach is great for those of us who have limited time, but they want to create these additional streams of income. Now, as mentioned earlier, my favorite type of passive income type investments are real estate syndications, which is nothing more than a group of investors that pool their money to buy properties that would be too expensive for any one person to buy on their own. So there's not a whole lot of people that can go out and buy a $15 million apartment complex or a $20 million apartment complex or whatever, but you can get into these group investments that allow you to do that. So there are several benefits out there for investing in real estate. I'm going to break them down into these four right here. Cash flow or passive income. That's probably one of the main reasons that most people do this. And one other thing that you have to think about, if you're a high income earner, your active or ordinary income, that's the highest tax income there is. And there's actually 7 different types of income. That is the highest type tax income. All right. And it almost makes no sense once you get to the point you're getting taxed so high. Once you get into these high tax brackets that you're just kind of spinning your wheels. But once you start getting passive income, it's taxed at a much lower rate than your W-2 income. So the more of that you can make, the less taxes that you have to pay on this type of income. And speaking of taxes, that's actually the second benefit of real estate investing, because we can take advantage of the main tax advantage is depreciation. Okay. So you can buy something, or when you get into when you get into the syndications, you have all the tax benefits, just like if you were an active investor. Okay, so the property, the group, the general partner, they'll go in. Let's say they buy an apartment, and they're able to depreciate that. And they can get a cost segregation study. A group comes in and they segregate out the different costs, so they can accelerate. They can get more of the depreciation up front. And that allows you to offset this passive income. And depreciation, you're basically the government is incentivizing you. So they want to incentivize you for investing in this apartment. So they allow you to write off the wear and tear of this property, the wear and tear of this apartment. And you can actually accelerate it and get a lot of it in the first few years. If you've started a practice before or a business, you've probably spoken to your accountant about this. They've probably accelerated a lot of depreciation to give you a lot of losses. Okay. So that probably, if I were to say, these are the two main things that people get into real estate investing. The third is these most of the time are a lot less volatile investments when you're looking at, and they're more recession resistant than you look at the stock market. We used to put 99% of our money into the stock market. Don't take this as financial advice. This is just what we used to do. Now we put very, very little in the stock market, just enough to put in whatever our practice retirement account is for our employees. Everything else goes into passive investments. And then the fourth benefit would be appreciation, increased appreciation. So the value of real estate over time, it tends to go up. Look at your house that you live in. Has it gone up or down? Probably, depending on what area of the country you're in, it's gone up. With inflation going up, prices going up, it's going to appreciate. Okay. This allows you to build wealth through asset appreciation. All right. So you may be asking yourself, well, hey, Jeff, all this sounds great, but how do I get started? All right. 4 things you can do. Number 1, and I'm really big on this, is education. Watch videos like this. I've got a blog. Go to other, read books, listen to podcasts. Once you start doing this, Google and YouTube, they like to feed the algorithm, so to speak. So they want to give you what you want. So the more of these types of videos and podcasts and blogs that you search for, the more that you're going to be fed in your feed. Doesn't take long. And what I want to do, I want to encourage you to educate yourself. If you have kids, start to educate them too, because we always want the best for our kids, right? But instead of just throwing money at them, it's good to teach them, it's good to educate them, especially about trading time for money, that there's other ways out there to operate. Okay. Second thing is to network. I can't express how much this had helped me early on. Started going to real estate meetups, started going to meetings, still do it. I don't do it as much, but I still do it. As I transition out of my practice, I'm going to do it. But the more that you can get around people, the more that you'll hear different ideas, which that was one of the meetings that I went to early on in Dallas. It was a meeting that I thought I was going to learn about how to be an active investor, but most of the information that they had was about passive investing. So I'm glad I went to that meeting, because if not, I would not be here in front of you today giving you this video. Number 3 would be find out the sponsors, the general partners, the people that put these syndications together. Find the ones that you can trust. Well, you may be saying, well, how can I do that? Well, a couple ways. Number 1, when you start networking with people, you'll start hearing the same names. And that's what I did. I started hearing that back then there was just a handful of these syndicators. The same names keep coming up. Oh, I invest with this group. I invest with this group. There's only like 2 or 3 back then, main groups. Okay. But now there's just a ton of them. And the analogy that I give that you may have heard before is I graduated with about 60 dental students, but I would only let about 4 or 5 of them work on. So there's only about 4 or 5 that were good, but all of them are dentists. So there's only just a few good groups out there, but there's a ton of them. And if you really want a shortcut to it, you can join on my website. I'm going to put the link below this video. Join my passive investor circle, because I spend hours and hours and hours every week finding these sponsors that we can trust, that I can personally invest with, and then I can turn around and offer these types of deals to you. So if you want to get started, educate, network, find sponsors that you can trust. And if you want to join our passive investor circle, these are for accredited investors only. You can find the link below this video. I hope I'll see you in the group. Take care.